Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I hope you had a restful night's sleep. Very excited to be able to celebrate Shabbat with all of you. So we're going to begin, as we always do, just by singing a little, warm ourselves up. So join with me at home if you're able. Ya lai 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 la lai, ya lai 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 la lai, ya lai 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 la lai, ya lai lai lai, ya lai 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 la lai, ya lai 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 la lai, ya lai 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 la lai, ya lai lai lai, ya lai la la lai la lai la la lai. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la la ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As we always do, we'll begin just with a few moments of silence for each of us to reflect. So please, at home, if you feel comfortable, close your eyes, do whatever makes you most comfortable, but take this time for you. Open our eyes, let's take a deep breath in, let a deep breath out, and we will open up our prayer books, our Sidurim, either real or online. And thanks again to Howard Sanborn with his suggestion. So I'll be offering both the online number and the book number, so hopefully everyone will be able to find things reasonably quickly. And again, just a reminder, if you're using the online version, that right below the image of the page that's been scanned, you'll see a little box where you can input a number, and that's the number that you're going to want to use when I say online. You can just plug it right in there and hit enter, and it should flip it automatically to where it needs to be. So we will begin online on page 204, and in our prayer books, physical prayer books on page 186, as we offer thanks and gratitude for this Shabbat and for this opportunity to pray together. Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam. Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam. Modeh ani thanks to you, Adonai, ever-living sovereign, that you have restored my soul to me in mercy. How great is your trust. We now skip ahead to page 210 online, 192 in the book, Ma Tovu at the very top of the page. Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Israel. Ma Tovu, Ohalecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha turn now together to the top of page 213 online, 195 in the book, as we offer a blessing for our bodies. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware we would lack the strength to stand before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar, umafli lasot. We're going to turn now to page 214 online, 196 in the book. Elohai Neshama, at the very top of the page, a blessing for our souls. Elohai Neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai Neshama shenatata bi tehorai. Elohai Neshama shenatata bi tehorai. Elohai Neshama shenatata bi tehorai. Please join with me in English at the bottom of the page. My God, the soul you have given me is pure. You created it, you shaped it, you breathed it into me, and you protect it within me. For as long as my soul is within me, I offer thanks to you, Adonai, my God and God of my ancestors, source of all creation, sovereign of all souls. Praised are you, Adonai, in whose hand is every living soul and the breath of humankind. Baruch atah Adonai, asher biado nefesh kol chai, veruach kol besar ish. Please rise at home if you're able as we turn to page 216 on line 198 in the book, a series of blessings for all of our daily miracles. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan l'sechvi bina, Lafchin ben yom uven laila. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, rokah haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei gaber. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, anoten layaev koach. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavir shena meinai utnuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzelem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben chorin. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael b'tifara. Please be seated at home. We're going to turn now to page 223 online, 205 in the book, and we'll read together the first reading at the top of the page, a blessing for the study of Torah. We seekers of God, how do we find you? In good deeds and in the study of Torah. In your search for us, you find us in the bending of the knee, in the rigor of study, in the honesty of commerce, through a good heart, through decency, in respect, true fellowship, companionship, and love. through truth and peace, in the no that is really no and the yes that is really yes. Baruch atah Adonai hamelamed Torah le'amo Yisrael. Turn to the next page, 224 online, 206 in the book, very top of the page. Elu devarim she'ein lahem shiur, she'adam ochel pirotehem me'olam hazeh, ve'akeren kayemet lo le'olam haba, ve'elu hen kibud avayim ugmilut chasadim, ve'hashkamat beit hamidrash shacharit ve'aravit, ve'achnasat orchim ubikur cholim, ve'achnasat kalal v'yatamet v'yud tefila, ve'avat shalom ben adam lachavero, ve'talmud Torah keneged kulam. Now, if we're able at home, we rise as we turn to page 230 online, page 212 in the book, as we offer the first blessing for Pezukei Dezimra. Baruch she'amar ve'aya ha'olam baruch hu, baruch oseh ve'reshit, baruch omer ve'yoseh, baruch gozer u'mekayem, baruch merachem al haaretz, baruch merachem al habriot, baruch meshalem sachar tov l're'av, baruch chaylad v'kayam lanetzach, baruch bodeh u'matziel, baruch shemo. Bishvachot u'bizmirot negadecha, u'nshabecha b'fayecha v'nazkir shimcha v'namlichecha malkeinu Eloheinu, Yachid chai ha'olamim, melech meshubach u'mefoar de'ad shemo hagadol, baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal batishvachot. Please be seated at home if you're standing. We're going to turn now to page 232 online, 214 in the book, second line down in Hebrew from the very top of the page. Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha Elyon, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות, ואמונתך בלילות, טוב להודות לאדוני. עלי אסור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור, כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארנן. מגענו מעשיך היה, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מגענו מעשיך היה, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. מגענו מעשיך היה, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. אשרי silently onto the next page. ואנחנו נברך ים מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה ועד עולם, מעתה ועד עולם, הללויה, הללויה. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Psalm 150, page 236 online, 218 in the book. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 El Bekocho, hallelujah, Bekiazo, hallelujah, Bigvurotav, hallelujah, Kirokulo, hallelujah, 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 beteka hashofar, hallelujah, benevel bechinor, hallelujah, betofu machol, hallelujah, minim berugav, hallelujah, 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 betziltele shama, hallelujah, betziltele trua, kol hanshama, tehaleluya, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. We're on the adjoining page. Nishmat kol chai, tevarech et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu. Continue silently on to the next page. Okay, we're now on page 238 online, 220 in the book, very top of the page. Ilu finu male shira kayam, Ulshoneinu rina kamon galav, Vesivtotenu shevach kemarchevei rakiyam, Veinenu meirot kashemesh vechayareach, Veyadenu frusot kenishrei shamayim, Veragleinu kalot kayalot, Ein anachnu maspi צדיקים להודות לך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, לברך את שמך. We're now on page 240 online, page 222 in the book, and we're the second paragraph down in Hebrew from the very top of the page. Shochenad marom v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv hanenu tzadikim Adonai la yesharim Tehillah Befi Yesharim Titalal Divrei Tzadikim Titbarach Ubilshon Chasidim Titromamu Bekerev Kedoshim Titkadash Uvma Kehalot Ribevot Amcha Beit Yisrael Beherina Itpa'ar Shimcha Malkeinu Bechol Dor Vador Yababai Yababai Bye 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 Yababai Yababai Bye Bye Yai bye bye ya bye bye ya bye 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 ay ya bye bye ya bye bye yai bye bye. We rise as we turn to the next page, 241 online, 223 in the book, for the concluding blessing of Pazukei de Zimra, Ishtabach, beginning at the top of the page, and will remain standing onto the next page for the Hatzi Kaddish, or the page after that for the Baruch Hu. Yishtabach shimcha alad malkeinu, ha'el ha'melech ha'gadol ve'ha'kadosh b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, ki lecha na'e Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotinu ve'imotenu, shir u'shvacha ala b'zimra ozu memshala netzach, Gedula ugvura, tila v'tiferet, kedusha u'malchut, brachot ve'hodot, me'ata ve'ad olam, baruch ata Adonai, el melech gadol batishbachot, el ha'hodot Adonai niflaot, abocher b'shirei zimra, melech el chei ha'olamim. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'almad yirachirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael v'hagala v'zman karim v'yimeru amen. Yesh mei Rabbah mevarach le'alam le'almei almayah yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yit'ale v'yit'alal shemei dekucha brichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damirad le'alma v'imeru amen. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamorach Leolam Vaed. Can you please be seated at home? We're now on page 246 online, 228 in the book. We'll read together in English at the bottom of the page, and then the 3 lines in Hebrew just above. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, creator of light and darkness. who makes peace and fashions all things. In mercy you illumine the world and those who live upon it. In your goodness you daily renew creation. How numerous are your works, Adonai! In wisdom you formed them all, filling the earth with your creatures. Be praised, Adonai our God, for the excellent work of your hands, and for the lights you created, may they glorify you. Shine a new light upon Zion, that we all may swiftly merit its radiance. Praised are you, Adonai, creator of all heavenly lights. Or Chadash, Al Tzion Ta'ir. Or Chadash, Al Tzion Ta'ir. V'nizkechu lanu me'era le'oro. V'nizkechu lanu me'era le'oro. Yadadai bim bim bam, yadadai bim bam, yadadai bim bim bam, yadadai. Yadadai bim bim bam, yadadai bim bam, yadadai bim bim bam, yadadai Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. Turn now to page 248 online, 230 in the book. We'll begin by reading the English together at the top of the page and then the Hebrew at the bottom. How deeply you have loved us, Adonai our God, gracing us with surpassing compassion. On account of our forebears, whose trust led you to teach them the laws of life, be gracious to us, teaching us as well. O merciful one, have mercy on us by making us able to understand and discern, to heed, learn, and teach, and lovingly to observe, perform, and fulfill all that is in your Torah. V'ha'er eineinu b'toratecha v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha v'yachel levaveinu le'ahava u'yirah et shemecha v'lo nevosh v'lo nikalem v'lo le'olam va'ed ki v'shem kodshecha hagadol ve'anora batachnu nagila v'nismecha b'yeshuatecha ve'havienu l'shalom me'arba kanfot haaretz ve'tolichenu komemiut le'artzeinu ki el poel yeshuot ata uvanu b'charta ve'keravtanu le'shimcha hagadol sela b'emet להודות לך ויחידך באהבה, ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל, באהבה. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני page 252 online, 234 in the book. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levacha bechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha ve'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavcha hayom al levavecha ve'shinatam levanecha ve'dibarta bam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות הידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We're on the adjoining page, the next page, 254 online, 236 in the book. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת להם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית על כנף פתיל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Okay, let's read together on the top of page 257 online, 239 in the book. Emet, there is no place where you are not. Even in the wilderness, there is your word. Emet, that pen strokes of lightning, white fire, black flame, stir the soul's passion, guide our sacred way. True and enduring is Torah. Your truth for us is certain and established now and forevermore. Like Moses, Miriam, and all Israel, we sing out and rejoice. And we start with the Hebrew at the bottom of page 256, and then quickly on to 258 online, 238 in the book, 240 in the book, very quickly. Oh, wrong. Tehilot le'el elyon baruch hu mevorach Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael lechanu shira besimcha rabba ve'amru chulam mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh nora tehiloto sefer leya bye 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 ya bye 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 shira chadasha shibchu geudim לשמחה על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו, והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Tzur Yisrael, Kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, Ufidei chinumecha Yehuda be'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. We begin the Amidah together on page 260 online, 242 in the book. Please go at your own pace, and when you're finished, you may be seated. And of course, after we start together, we continue silently. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. ask those at home who are still standing to please remain standing. Everyone who is seated, who is able, to please rise. We'll turn to page 342 online, 324 in the book for the repetition of the Amidah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, Le'el Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל מכלכל חיים בחסד מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לישני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה. ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. We're now on page 344 online, 326 in the book. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו, אדוני, אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור, הללויה, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד לך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גוד לך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Please be seated. We're now on the top of page 347 online, 329 in the book. Very top of the page. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. מקדשי שביעי שבת, כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. malechutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. V'hashvi'i ratzita bo v'kidashto Shabbat. Chemdat yamim u'toker hata Shabbat yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher Lemase Bereshit Shabbat. Zecher Lemase Bereshit Shabbat Yismechu v'malechutecha. Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Eloheinu, Eloi Avotenu v'imotenu, Retzei, Retzei b'mnuchateinu. Kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'ten chelkeinu b'toratecha. Sameinu mituvecha, l'samechenu b'shuatecha, v'taher libeinu, le'ovdecha be'emet, ve'anchileinu, Adonai Eloheinu, ayin 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 Nanai nai 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 nanai nai 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 nai. Be'ahava ratzon Shabbat kodshecha, v'yinuchu v'Yisrael mekadshei shemecha. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Please be seated at home. We're now on page 348 online, page 330 in the book, and we'll read together in English in the middle of the page. On this Shabbat day, as you graciously receive our prayers, help us to hear your call. Grant us enough health to fulfill our duties and the compassion we need to attend to others. Teach us humility that we may perceive our own faults, and grant us the wisdom to be forgiving of others. Give us the courage to be true to our highest selves and the charity to see the best in those around us. Give us patience enough not to become discouraged, hope enough to overcome all fears for the future, and faith enough to know your presence. O source of blessing, look with favor upon us. May our offerings be acceptable to you. Baruch atah Adonai, shotcha levatcha b'yirah na'avod. We now turn to page 350 online, 332 in the book. And by beginning at the bottom of the page, I'll read each paragraph in English, and at home I'd like you to respond as best as you're able with the Hebrew, Modim anachnu lach, in which we offer our gratitude and our thanks to God for all of these gifts and creations and elements of our world. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, Modim anachnu lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, Modim anachnu lach. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, Modim anachnu lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, Modim anachnu lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, Modim anachnu lach. For all those who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom. Modim anachnu lach. For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. Modim anachnu lach. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulechanayeh lehodot. Turn now to page 352 online, 334 in the book, A Prayer for Peace, Sim Shalom. Sim Shalom, Tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael ha'amecha, barcheinu yotzreinu kulanu kechad, be'or panecha, ki be'or panecha natata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu. Sim Shalom, Tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ha'amecha, Torat chaim ve'ahavat chesed, U'tzedaka uvracha berachamim v'chaim v'shalom. Sim Shalom, Tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ha'amecha, v'tov beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, bechol eitu v'chol shah, bishlomecha. Sim Shalom, Tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Amecha. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'mevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. Let's read together on the bottom of page 354 online, 336 in the book. I need strength, humility, courage, patience. Strength to control my passions, humility to assess my own worth. Courage to rise above defeats, patience to cleanse myself of imperfections, and wisdom to learn and live by our sacred teachings. Let me not be discouraged by my failings. Let me take heart from all that is good and noble in my character. Keep me from falling victim to cynicism. Teach me sincerity and enthusiasm. Endow me with perception and courage that I may serve others with compassion and love. Ohoseh shalom imromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the Torah service begins on page 380 in the online and 362 in the book. If you're able at home, please rise. Ein kamocha b'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kema'asecha malchutcha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch le'olam לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. הרחמים היטיבה ברצונך את ציון, תבנה חומות ירושלים, כי בך לבד פתחנו, מלך אל רם ונישא, אדון עולמים. כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. גדול אדוני תהיו נהודמה, שמו יחדיו. לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד, כי כה בשמיים ובארץ, כי כה בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה, והמתנשא לכל ראש. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקודשו. Okay, please be seated at home. Shabbat Shalom to everyone. I'll move to my sermonizing lectern here. So this morning we read from a double portion again. A lot of double portions this part of the Torah. Not always, but most of the time. Acharei Mot Kedoshim. Acharei Mot Kedoshim. And these are extremely important sections of the Torah. Kedoshim especially, as we will focus on this morning, both in my drash and also with our wonderful Torah study to come with Margaret Bromberg. But to situate ourselves again, Acharei Mot means after the death. And so it is the beginning of this parsha begins after the death of Nadav and Avihu, even though we skip over a portion last week. In the chronology of the Torah, that's essentially what's being described here. And the first thing that we hear about, and what most of Acharei Mot is focused on, is actually the holiday of Yom Kippur, and in particular the responsibilities of the Kohen HaGadol, of the high priest, in terms of Yom Kippur, and how the high priest helps the people of Israel to atone for their various shortcomings, to say the very least. It also contains, within this parsha, some of the most important commandments and obligations, and also some of the most troubling. And the troubling sections are the ones that are part of prohibitions against sexual relationships, and contain some of the commandments that forbid same-sex relationships. And of course, in our environment, in our world today, certainly for myself, for this community, these are the parts of the Torah that we have, in one form or the other, said that this is no longer our understanding of love and ultimately what God is wanting and expecting of all of us. So we struggle with that section of the Torah, but its counterbalance are some of the most, let's say, open-minded and thoughtful and caring and concerned obligations and mitzvahs in the Torah as well. And we see that embodied in particular in Kedoshim, which begins with the very famous phrase, Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. That's famous, but for different reasons. Daber el kol adat b'nei Israel, to speak to the entire amassed, accumulated children of Israel, people of Israel. Remember again that our name Adas Israel is kol adat b'nei Israel. Adat Israel is what we are. Okay, so whenever I've mentioned that before, that's what we are talking about. Va'amarta lehem, and say to them, Kedoshim to you, that you must be a holy people, ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem, because I am holy, right? Because I am this kadosh thing, says Adonai. And what follows after this is a series, as I said, of mitzvot, of commandments, of obligations, of basic expectations of Israelite society, of Jewish society and Jewish culture and Jewish ethics. And in some ways, it's sort of like almost another version of the Ten Commandments. And by that, I don't mean one that supersedes it or replaces it, but one that expands upon it. And the ways in which these laws are given are in a very similar fashion, right? Do this, don't do that. And it forms the core of a number of other things that eventually would manifest into the modern religion that we associate as Judaism. But all of it really comes from, again, from this section of the Torah and the basis of, for example, right, our requirements to not steal, to not be deceitful in our engagements in monetary functions, to make sure that we leave the edges of our fields for those who are impoverished or hungry. All of these things are contained within here. Even our equivalent of what is usually referred to as the golden rule, right? This basically, don't do to other people what you wouldn't want done to yourself. And all of this is certainly significant. But I want to focus actually on one pasuk, which I've spoken about in other places, but I stumbled across something that I thought was really fascinating and also I think extremely important, especially at this time. So if you're following along, we'll begin with the beginning of Kedoshim when we read from the Torah, which is Leviticus chapter 19, which in the Plows Chumash is page 798, and the Women's Torah Commentary is 703. Again, page 703 in the Women's, 798 in Plows. But the verse that I want to focus on is actually the 17th verse of Kedoshim, which is page 800 in the Plows Chumash, and then will be page 706 in the Women's Torah Commentary, on to the next page. So, what does this verse say? You shall not hate your kinfolk in your heart. Lo tisna et achicha bilvavecha. Reprove your kin, but incur no guilt on their account. Hocheach tochiach et amitecha velo tisa alav chet. So this actually are very significant statements, very important ones, and that actually become the basis for a lot of other Jewish ethics and understandings of relationship and responsibility, and in particular the question about what one is meant to do when somebody, at least we perceive, has wronged us in some form or the other. So let's break this down a little bit, and I'm going to use some of the commentators to help us to understand and to push towards, I think, what I hope is an important message for us to take home today. So the first question is, sort of, what is this actually about? What is being described here? So Ibn Ezra was one of the great classical commentators, medieval commentators, helps us to understand what this commandment is really about, right? Lo tisna et achicha, right? That you shouldn't hate your brother or your kinsmen or the people that are closest to you, either because of blood lineage or connection, or because of communal, or because, generally speaking, the classical understanding is that this is referring to the Jewish community as a whole. In the end, I think, like to look at this beyond just those simple constraints, and actually that these are lessons that really apply to us generally in all relationships. But for the time being, we'll stick with Ibn Ezra's understanding, which is, again, specific to your kinsman, your fellow person. Okay? So what he says first is that this is actually a commandment that is the negative aspect, right, the flipped side of the coin of the previous commandments: love your fellow person as yourself, right? Or actually, I think that's in the verse to come. Yes, it's in verse 18, right? You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against members of your people. Love your fellow Israelite as yourself. Ani Adonai, I am the Eternal. And actually, seeing these two verses together obviously reinforces his point. So this is really basically the opposite situation. Okay? We're being commanded to love our fellow person as ourselves. We're also being commanded not to hate. So what's the necessity of having both sides of this commandment? Isn't sufficient just to simply say, love your fellow person as yourself. Right? Wouldn't that automatically cover what's being described here? So he writes, although these commandments all involve a person's private emotions, only through their observance will Israel be permitted to remain in its land. So what is he talking about? And he quotes from Yoma, from a section of the Talmud, which refers to the idea that the second temple in particular was destroyed because of sinat chinam, of a baseless, ungrounded hatred between the Jews of Jerusalem and the Jews of Israel at that particular time. Right? A self-loathing, as it were. Okay? And perhaps, in this case, you hate someone because you suspect them of something which never happened. Okay, so this is the next part of this idea, which is basically saying, a lot of the times when we get upset with somebody, we're basing our upset or our discomfort on something that we perceive to have happened, or that we ascribe a particular intention to that person's behavior towards us. And what do I mean by that? I mean, let's take a simple situation in which we hear a rumor or we hear something shared with us through a third party about what this person, our fellow, our colleague, our friend, our brother, our sister, whatever it may be, has said about us behind our back or without our awareness. And our assumption immediately, whatever the thing is that was said, is we begin to ascribe all the intentions behind that act. Right? This person's always been jealous of us. This person has had it out for us from day one. This person is trying to assassinate my character for their own benefit. This person is doing this because they are egotistical. Right? Fill in the gap, but basically our minds naturally go to, this person is doing something because of some mishigas on their part. It has nothing to do whatsoever with us. So that's already one problem. Okay? And so what Ibn Ezra is saying is that the reason why we are told, hocheach tochiach, right, to emphatically reprove our fellow person, is because perhaps the thing that we heard happen never actually happened. Or perhaps the thing that happened didn't happen in the way that we think it happened. And so the Torah tells us even more so, right? What is the reason why it's important to reprove, to approach, and to confront the person that we think has wronged us, and to get to the truth of the matter? Because if we don't, then we are going to bear the sin because of them. Okay, and this is another one of the sort of enigmatic statements in the Torah as to what does that actually mean? Okay, so hold that question for a moment. We'll get to another explanation that will help us in a second. Okay, so next I want to shift to another commentator, Chizkuni, who talks about this as well, and he takes it even a little bit of a step further. Right, so when he's talking about the necessity to go over to the person that has accused you or done something to you, he says, perhaps once matters are in the open, you can demonstrate to your colleague that they completely misinterpreted one of your actions. So here it's basically saying, the thing that other person did towards us may have been a reaction to something that they think that we did. Right? And so only by clearing the air can we point out the fact that their anger towards us was misinterpreted, and therefore their actions and our response to it would have been misinterpreted as well, unless we came to that person and cleared the air and figured out exactly what had happened. And alternatively, and perhaps just as importantly, we may also become aware that what had been reported to us as having been said by that person, about which, right, was misrepresented and not meant detrimentally at all. Right? So this is an entirely other possibility, that whatever we had heard. This happens a lot of times, I find, with emails or with text, because there's no intonation. There's no humanity attached to them. So you can write the sentence in an email that can mean one thing depending on how it's read or interpreted, or another thing depending on how it's read or interpreted. Sarcasm is something that doesn't translate particularly well to the written word, unless you know that the person who is saying it is already sarcastic. Right? So the idea is that basically it could have been that this entire thing wasn't even a question of misinterpreting behaviors. It was actually a misinterpretation of what was said, and that in fact what was said wasn't insulting or unintentionally hurtful towards us. Okay? So all the more so, you are to act in this manner, he says, even if you are convinced that your attempts to rebuke the person won't help at all. In fact, your failure to make an attempt at reconciliation will be held against you by the Heavenly Tribunal. Okay, and this is why the pasuk ends with this idea: don't let the burden of the other person's behavior rest on you because you didn't say something about it. And he takes it to the even most extreme example, which is the Heavenly Tribunal refers to the idea that when we pass from this world and we are judged for our behaviors, right, that this will be a mark against us even if somebody did do something negative to us. If we didn't take the time to reproach them or to at least clarify what had taken place, then the sin is as much on us as it is on them. And that's actually a very, very powerful kind of statement, which again, I want you to try to hold these ideas because we're going to come back and tie them all together. So now I want to jump to another commentator, the Or HaChaim, and he says some other really interesting stuff. Okay? So the first thing that I loved is he translates chocheach tochiach, which generally speaking, when this kind of formulation in Hebrew grammar and biblical grammar appears, it's a means of emphasis, right? Put an exclamation point next to it. Chocheach, tochiach, they sound very similar because they are the same root, and they're grammatically playing off one off of the other. And his point is actually that it's not a question of emphatic rebuke, it's actually a way of saying that the rebuke must happen repeatedly if it's not successful. So if you try it once and it doesn't work, you come back a second time, you come back a third time, you don't just give up after a first time. So that's his first chidush, his first new idea here, which I really loved. Okay, but then he goes even further. Do not assume in your heart that whatever it is the other person has done to cause you to hate him, he has done purposely, and that he continues to feel hostile towards you. Right? So don't make that assumption that what has happened was actually malicious. Sometimes the things that we say that are hurtful to others, many times the things that we say that are hurtful to others, are unintentional, not intentional. And we don't realize it until somebody tells us that what they said was actually rather hurtful. Right? This comes up, I think, a lot of times in especially intimate relationships, all sorts of unintentional statements that actually can end up becoming very, very painful. Okay? So another reason why it's important to engage the person who we think has wronged us. Okay? And he continues, give that person the benefit of the doubt and discuss the matter with them. The discussion could lead to one of two possible results. That person may explain to you that there was a good reason for what they did, so there is really actually no reason to hate them in the first place. Or, right, that person may change their attitude towards you, undertaking not to continue the hostile conduct. As a result, that person actually becomes your ach, your brother, your comrade, your colleague, whatever it might be. That we're saying is that in that extreme situation in which there actually was animosity and there was something done that was terrible and hurtful towards us, that by reproving them, by confronting them and asking them what is the basis of this, we actually have the opportunity to turn somebody who was otherwise going to be our enemy or antagonizer into an ach, into our brother, into our colleague, our closest kin. So again, we're getting reason after reason after reason why this pasuk is actually extremely, extremely, extremely important. Because it is reminding us that a lot of the anxieties, a lot of the anger, a lot of the disconnects and the pain that exists in our relationships, both with those that are naturally close to us and those for whom we don't even know and are slinging insults in our direction, that if we let these things lie, we A, have no chance of a positive outcome, B, it will start to eat us up inside, and C, at least according to some readings of this text, we will be responsible at the end because we did nothing to fix the situation. We simply allowed it to fester and to ultimately take over. Now here's I think the greatest of all these teachings that I found today, which again is one of the beauties of studying biblical grammar, is that you can play around with and question some of the grammatical necessity. And when the rabbis see a pasuk that normally might be written this way and is instead purposely written, or is written another way, that there is a purpose behind it, and an intention behind it, and a teaching in it that needs to be understood and unearthed. So the Or HaChaim, the same guy we were just talking about, points out that there's something unusual in this statement. Okay? And he notes the unusual structure of the verse, and he says that actually it should have read in Hebrew, Lo tisna bilvavecha et achicha. Okay? In the text itself, it says it the opposite, right? Lo tisa et achicha bilvavecha. Okay, so what is this about? Lo tisa achecha, right? Bilvavecha, or the other way around. So bilvavecha means in our heart, and achicha is the person, right? The brother, the colleague, however we want to translate it, that we are ultimately angry with. So he says this follows, right? The word bilvavecha, the word in your heart, which we consider central, should not have been written at the end of the pasuk. Right? Bilvavecha should have actually been swapped in its place with achecha. The source of the hatred being the heart, should have been mentioned before the object of the hatred, our fellow. Okay, so he's basically saying that this is a reversed pasuk in its natural form. He argues, it should have been basically start with the source of the hatred, what's in our heart, right? What's causing us to be upset, and then mention the source of that, the reason why we are upset. And he says actually that the Torah reversed this order, and there must be a reason for this. And he says, I believe that the message is that a person should not think that the Torah only forbids the kind of hatred which is the forerunner of acts of revenge or violence, but does not forbid harboring ill feelings towards someone in one's heart. By mentioning the object of one's hatred immediately next to the prohibition to hate, the Torah made it clear that even the kind of hatred which is not related to acts of retaliation is forbidden. As soon as a person distances themselves mentally and emotionally from their fellow, they begin to violate the prohibition of hatred as defined by the Torah in this verse. Wow. And just to be clear, what he's talking about is that verse 18, which follows afterwards, right, it says that you shouldn't take vengeance or bear a grudge against members of your people. And it's basically, he's trying to say that if it had been set up the way that it would have made sense, right, with the heart and then the ach, it's sort of saying it in the other direction for a purpose, and it's connecting it to this idea that we're not just worried about hatred that results in vengeance, right, that it results in physical stuff. That the moment that we allow hatred for our fellow to consume our heart, to begin to formulate all of the feelings and theories and assumptions that cause the breakdown of relationships or connections, the easier it is ultimately to fall into further and further kinds of hatred, which eventually can result in the worst kind, which is the cyclical nature of blood vengeance, right? That you can't break that cycle because everybody gets into this mindset of these people are out to get me, they've already done harm to me, and I will do the same to them, right? Creating a cycle of that nature. And so all of these teachings are basically trying to tell us several things that are very important. One certainly that relate to, first of all, being very aware of how damaging holding in hatred for another person can be. Whether they rightfully or wrongfully wronged us or affected us, if we don't do anything with that hatred, it festers in the heart. And it begins to affect all manner of our life and all manner of our existence. And that ultimately speaking, the source of all of this, in some ways, is because of our proximity to other people, because we share our lives, because we share our professional lives, because we basically live together in one form or the other. And it is an inevitability of life that we are going to find ourselves in this situation on one side of the equation or the other. And in both sides of the equation, if left to fester, everyone is guilty, everyone suffers, everyone's heart is ultimately heavy, and it can cause an entire lifetime to go by in which we spend our life in anger or upset, instead of searching for the possibility of ultimately repair or understanding. And that's the danger of the world that we have always lived in as human beings, is how quick we are to shut out a person who has wronged us, again, whether actually wronging us or even by just perception. Right? We just simply say, I'm not going to make time for that person, they're a fill in the blank, and again, that their reasons for saying things about me are always self-serving. Right? If we exist in the world in that way, we can't grow. We have to have the hard conversations. We have to be willing to reprove people who we think are doing wrong. And we at the same time have to have an open heart and an open mind to the possibility that our feelings are actually incorrect or missing key pieces of information that otherwise would never come to light unless we start the conversation and have the conversation. And I think that's the takeaway for me from this parsha for now and forever, is to realize how often we do this, sometimes even unconsciously, how many relationships we have all probably lost in our lifetime because we didn't actually have the hard conversation. We didn't reprove our fellow. And how much we now, in fact, are carrying around, whether we want to call it sin or pain, how much pain we are carrying around from day to day as a result of that. And so I think that this overarching commandment of trying to be holy, right, to be kadosh because God is kadosh, is oftentimes a very hard concept for any of us to wrap our head around. How are we supposed to be holy? What does that even mean? How are we supposed to be more God-like? What does that even mean? I think this portion gives us a lot of different examples of what it actually means, which is that we are meant to try to emulate the compassionate, understanding side of our Creator, and that being holy requires a constant vigilance against its antithesis. And that's part of the reason why we have both positive and negative mitzvot, is to acknowledge that we oscillate back and forth between these realities. And sometimes things are going to be done to us, and sometimes we're going to do things to others. And the only way in which there can be a world of peace is if we are open to the idea of making the kinds of conversations and connections and understandings that this one pasuk is ultimately trying to tell us to do. So it's a lot to take in for sure. And I'm very grateful that Margaret will take over the Torah study later to help whatever it is that she has decided to teach us for this morning. But I think that this parsha especially, I know I tell you every week, pay close attention, read the portion. This is one to really read and to really pay attention to. And you'll be, I think, quite moved by a lot of it, challenged by the rest of it. And I hope, ultimately speaking, that all of us are striving for this gold ring, so to speak, of being kadosh. And one of the best ways to get there, to grab that ring, so to speak, is by being as considerate and thoughtful, not just to ourselves, but to our fellow. So with that, I wish you a Shabbat Shalom. I hope at least some of that made some kind of sense. And just a reminder again, we're going to read the first 12 verses of the chapter, again, chapter 19, and that begins on page 798 in the Plows Chumash, 703 in the Women's Torah commentary, and if you're following online, again, it is the beginning of chapter 19 of the book of Leviticus. Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach. Baruch Adonai borach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim venatan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Vayedaber Adonai El Moshe Lemor, Daber El Kol Adat Bnei Yisrael, V'amarta Alehem Kedoshim Tiyu, Ki Kadosh Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yishimo V'aviv Tira'u, Bet Shabtotai Tishmoru, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Al tifnu el ha-Elohim be'Elohei masecha lo ta'asu lachem ani Adonai Elohechem v'chi tizbechu zebach shlamim la'Adonai lirtzonchem tizbachu be'yom zivchachem Ye'achel u'mimachorat V'hanotar ad yom ha'shlishi Ba'esh yisaref Ve'im ha'ochel ye'achel Be'yom ha'shlishi Bigul hu lo yeratzem Ve'ochelav Aono isa Ki et kodesh Adonai chilel v'nichreta hanefesh hahu me'ameham uvkutzrechem et ketzir artzechem lo techale ve'atzadecha liktzor ve'leket ketzircha lo telaket V'charmecha lo te'olel, uferet karmecha lo telaket, le'ani הגרת הזו, אותם אני אדוני אלוהיכם. לא תגנובו, ולא תכחשו, ולא תשקרו, איש בעמיתו, ולא תשבעו בשמי לשקר, וחיללת את שם אלוהיך, אני אדוני. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. Amen. So before we lift address the Torah, we'll take a moment with the Torah still in our midst to offer our prayer of healing, our Mishaberach, which can be found in our prayer books online on page 389 and in our book on page 371. And as we have and will continue to do while we are thinking of certainly of those most directly connected to us, we hold the entire heart, the whole world in our hearts and minds this morning as we pray for a collective healing. And again, our gratitude in this prayer also for those who are doing the healing and who are supporting those and supporting all of us to make sure that we are all safe and able to live. Mishaberach avotenu ve'imotenu Avraham, Yitzchak ve'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim ha'elu. We begin by thinking of those in our community and connected to our community in need of healing. Linda Shapiro, Joanne Samborn, Jean Ben Sadun, Gloria Taradash, Andrea Klausner, Judy Stern, Miriam Kornfeld, Raz Brody, Chana Ruth Bat Sarah, Marlise Silverberg, Louis Davidson, Susan Spruce, Fagel Tzipora Bat Elisheva, Elisheva Bat Sarah, Richard Gambino, Michelle Sawicki, Idol Basha Bat Yitzchak, Tzvi Menachem Ben Chaim, Rivka Bat Devorah, Amy and Gavin Tucker, Janice Kurz, David Dowling, Neil Elliott and Eileen Rosen, Israel Ben Yitzchak, Ben Sion Ben Moshe, Lorraine Danis, Buddy Kosoff, Shelley Newmark, David Kyle Klopman, Rivka Bat Rachel, Sarah Bat Chana, Moshe Eliezer Ben Sivia, Peretz Ben Yehuda, and Leah Bat Naomi. And if you're thinking of anyone this morning who's in need of healing, this would be the time to mention their names aloud. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Alehem Lahachalimam L'Rabotam L'Chazikam Ve'ishlach Lehem Mehira Refuah Refuah Shlema Min HaShamayim Refuat HaNefesh Refuat HaGuf Hashta B'Agala B'Zman Kariv V'Nomar Amen. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are suffering. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, and let us say together, Amen. El na refanala, El na refanala, El na refanala, refuah shelema, El na refanalo, El na refanalo, El na refanalo, refuah shelema. And we'll lift and dress the Torah. Yamdu hamagbiya v'hagolel. Ezot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. Torah, 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 Torah tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 tziva Lanu Moshe. Okay, please be seated at home. This morning's Haftarah, if you are following along at home, is the Haftarah for the Parsha of Kedoshim. Not always clear when you have a double portion, but in this particular case, and is my absolute favorite of the prophets, the prophet Amos. If you're following along at home and you have a Plowed Chumash, it would be on page 814. And if you're following at home, it is Amos, again, the prophet Amos, chapter 9, verses 7 to 15. Amos, again, tends to be shorter in Haftarot, but usually a lot of oomph, a lot of focus on the most important stuff. So it's one of the reasons he's my favorite. Okay. Blessings for the Haftarah, if you're following, are in our prayer book, page 372 in the book, and 390 online. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nviim tovim v'ratza b'divrehem hane'amarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Abocher b'Torah u'Moshe abdo u'Yisrael amo u'b'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Amen. Are you not to me, O people of Israel, like the Cushites, says the Eternal One? Did I not bring Israel up from the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Crete, and the Arameans from Kir? Look now, the eyes of the eternal God are on the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from the face of the earth, though I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, says the Eternal One. For my command, I will shake the house of Israel among all the nations as one shakes in a sieve, yet not a pebble shall fall to the ground. The sinners of my people shall die by the sword, saying all the while, no harm shall overtake us, nor meet us. On that day, I will raise up David's fallen shelter. I will rebuild the breaches in its walls and raise up its ruins and build it up as in days of old. They shall possess what is left of Edom and all the nations that were called by my name, says the Eternal One, who does this. The time is coming, says the Eternal, when the one who plows the field will overtake the one who reaps it. That the treader of grapes will overtake the one who sows seeds. When the mountains shall drip sweet wine and all the hills shall overflow. I will restore the fortunes of my people Israel. They shall rebuild the desolate cities and dwell in them. They shall plant vineyards and drink their wine, make gardens and eat their fruit. I will plant them on their soil, never again to be uprooted from the soil that I have given them, says the Eternal One, your God. Seems particularly relevant, Haftarah, this week, having celebrated Yom Ha'atzmaut, but conversation for another time. Blessing after the Haftarah again, page 372 in the book, 390 if you are following online. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sur kol haolamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer v'yoseh ha'mdaber u'mkayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al ni'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. We rise as we offer a prayer for the state of Israel, and then a prayer for our country, and then a prayer for the state of Israel. And the prayer for our country can be found on the bottom of page 394. Again, page 394, if you please join with me at home. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace, and may we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen. And on the adjoining page, a prayer for the state of Israel, especially in this week in which we celebrated Yom HaAtzmaut. Avinu Shabbat Shamayim, Sur Yisrael Vegoalo, Barech et Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Smichat Gulatenu. Hagen Aleha be'evrat chastecha, Ufros Aleha Sukat Shlomecha, Ushlach Orcha v'amitcha l'rasheha, Sareha v'yoatzeha. V'taknem be'etzah tova milfanecha, V'natata Shalom ba'aretz. Besimchat olam le'yoshveha v'nomar. Amen. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. You remain standing as we turn back to page 374 in the book and 392 online as we return the Torah to the Ark. Again, page 392 online, 374 in the book. Ye'alelu et Shem Adonai, ki nizkav shemo levado, odo al eretz v'shamayim. Vayarem keren li'amo, tehila lechol hasidah, livnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Ki lekach tov natati lachem, torati al tazovu. Chaim hi lama'achazikim ba v'tomcheha me'ushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol timoteha shalom ashivei Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Remain standing as we turn to the bottom of page 586 in the book, 604 online, Aleinu L'Shabech. Aleinu L'Shabech L'Adon HaKol, Latet Gedula Liyotzeh Breshit, Shelo Asanu K'yoyei Haratzot, Velo Samanu K'mishpechot Adama, Shelo Sam Chelkenu Kahem, V'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai, lemelech al kol haaretz, v'yom hahu, Adonai echad, u'shemo, u'shemo, u'shemo echad. Ask those in mourning and those observing yahrzeit to please remain standing at home if you are able. The rest may be seated. We first remember those who have passed in our community or connected to our community in recent months. Florence Bass, Nancy Fisher, Saul Fisher, Barbara Friedman, Lee Friedman, Sandra Friedman, Arlene Mandelbaum, Maya Rosofsky, Vera Shaps, Lisa Schneidman, and Norma Small. We also mark the yahrzeits that occurred during the last week for Alex Abel, Milton Axelrod, Stuart Lawrence Bell, Clara Fleischer, William Grossman, Teresa Jacoby, Hyman Cones, Estee Lauder, Herman Morris, Esther Oberman, Randolph Scott Racklin, Dorothy Raich, Carol Regan, Esther Rusinoff, Lillian Saperstein, Elizabeth Schwab, Annie Schwartz, Herman Schwartz, Samuel Slip, Ruth Stein, and Philip Zaslow. If you're remembering anyone this morning and you'd like to mention their names at home, now would be the time. We join together on page 616, online 598 in the book Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei ve'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'b'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'b'zman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'yalmei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitba'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yit'aleh ve'yithalal shemei dekudsha berichu. Leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may every one of their memories be for a blessing. Please be seated at home. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Just some quick announcements before we conclude our service with Ein Kelohenu and then with Kiddush. First is I hope that you will join us for our monthly Torah, Women's Commentary, Torah study this month, facilitated by our wonderful Margaret Bromberg, who is in Israel as we speak, and who has prepared something wonderful. So again, our members should have the information about how to access. If you're not a member of the temple, but you're watching this and you'd like to become involved, just email me and let me know who you are, and I'll be happy to share the information. Just for security reasons, we can't give it out broadly. Just a few other things. One, as I said last night, and I'll continue to say, my gratitude to the co-chairs of our Social Justice Committee, to Andy and Alyssa, and to all the volunteers who have been assisting in our work of trying to help as best as we can in our community to address the real reality of what's happening, and ultimately what we expect will be a continuation of a lot of challenges to come. So I thank all of you who are already involved. I invite those who are not yet involved but would like to be, either directly or through donations or through volunteering, any number of ways to help. Don't think that you can't help. Just if you have any limitations, let us know, and let Andy and Alyssa know, and we'll figure out how to get you involved. And the last thing is to say, again, if you are in our community and are in need of help, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. It can be anonymous. It can be as quiet or confidential as possible. But if you need help with anything, I don't know that we can solve every problem, but certainly as a community, we want to try to take care of each other. And we can't help those without knowing that there's a problem. So please, if you're watching this and you need some help with anything, please do let me know. With that, just one other quick announcement, which is that next Friday night, Cantor Emily is going to help lead a Zoom Kabbalat Shabbat from California. So it's a bit of an experiment for us, but we really wanted to get a chance for Emily to see you and for you to see her. So please put that on your calendar. And I think those are all my announcements for now. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and as I said, I hope I'll see most of you online in just a few moments for Torah study, and as we'll start exactly at noon, so don't be afraid if you try to log on before that and I don't let you in. It's not because of you, it's just we're going to try to keep it the same for everyone. So we're going to conclude our service with Ein Kelohenu on page 626 in the book, which is, sorry I didn't write this one ahead of time, 644, I believe, online, in Ein Kelohenu. Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mich Eloheinu, Mich Adonenu, Mich Emalkeinu, Mich Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Emalkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu. Baruch Moshiachenu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshiachenu. So we turn now for Kiddush, page 604 in the book, and 622, I believe, in the online. And if you have grape juice or wine with you handy, this is the time for that. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz, veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. U'ayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Akin berach Adonai et yom ha-Shabbat vayikanshehu savri l'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Chaim. Very good. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Hope to see you online in just a few moments. If not, have a wonderful, as best as you possibly can, week, safe, healthy. Listen to what we're being told to do. Don't think that you're special. I'm not special. None of us are special. We're all trying to follow the rules together. Be safe, primary. It is a Jewish responsibility. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.